episode 7 of Doc Talk. Today we have our regular folks. We got Major Dr. Michell Greenidge out of Tampa, Florida, but she's coming at you from an undisclosed location, y'all. She's that important. They hiding her. They can't have her everywhere. Can't let you know all about it. All right, we got Dr. Regina Parnell is back with us this week. Come on, after a long absence, but she made it back. We got her back on the wagon. She's on the way. Dr. Jason Lester coming at us from Aurora, Colorado. And tonight, although we got Dr. Parnell back, we're missing Dr. DeBerry. Man, it's hard these days. It's hard out here in these streets. It's all right. We're praying for him. She's going to be back with us sooner than later. But, y'all, we did not leave you without some awesome guests tonight. We got 2 folks joining us for this conversation. First off, we got Dr. Crystal McLeod. Yay! I'm going to let her tell y'all a little bit about herself. Go ahead, Doc. You got it.
All right. So I am the Crystal McLeod. No, I'm just playing. My name is Crystal McLeod, and I am currently a mental health therapist who is also active duty Air Force, hanging out here in the Midwest, as you can see with my sweatshirt on, in the cold and crisp South Dakota. Let's see, what else? So some of my spare time, what am I doing out here? I think I'm doing a whole lot out of here outside of my daily job. I am currently a co-host of SPSM Chat, which is suicide prevention, social media chat. I also do a little bit of YouTubing on my own. I am definitely an advocate for Black mental health. And so I do a lot outside of my day job with Black mental health as well. I am a social media Nazi. I'm a Twitter junkie, and I just enjoy everything Black.
Right. We're going to make sure that we put Dr. McLeod's Twitter handles, Instagram, everything. We're going to make sure we have all of that in our description. So we'll keep an eye out for that. Also, joining us, I got my brother here because I was like, man, we having a discussion about being single and we're going to be outnumbered. And I needed another Y chromosome in this building to help us out. So we got Dr. Jamarri Aikins with us. Brother, you got it. Tell the people about yourself.
Right. My name is Jamarri Aikins. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. I'm also operating out of the Midwest. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska at a residential treatment facility here called Boys Town. And so we work with kids anywhere between 3 to 18 years old who come to us either through the court system or privately placed. I would say that my specialty area is severe behaviors, ADHD, anxiety and depression, and I do a lot of parent training. So most of the kiddos who come to me come from households where there's not much structure, not much expectations, and so I work with parents to get that structure in place in the household so that those behaviors aren't interfering anymore. A little bit about myself. Like you said, I am single. I've been here in Omaha, Nebraska going on 3 years now. So I'm originally from Texas. People used to say that they could hear the accent in my voice, but I've been told that I've since lost it. Used to have a southern slang, but I've been told that I've lost it. Did my undergrad at TCU in Fort Worth, grad school at LSU in Louisiana, and postdoc training at the Kennedy Krieger Institute in Baltimore, Maryland.
All right. You see, that native Texan is right there. But see, my accent is heavy because I'm Louisiana on top of Texas. So I got all kind of accent. I don't even try and hide it no more. I'm just like, it is what it is, man. Right. But I'm so happy to have y'all both here with us. And Dr. Aikins, we'll put your Twitter and all your Insta and any other handles you want us to put in, we'll put that in the description as well. That way, when this come out and people trying to get to y'all and it's like, Black people meet and they start blowing y'all up, don't be surprised. Just saying. All right. So I'm going to just kick off with our first question. And I'm going to give our guests opportunity to answer this one first. So when we're talking about being single as a Black professional and with the level of education you have, do you find it more difficult to date as a successful single Black professional? Either one, y'all take it.
I'll let you go first, Dr.
We go first?
Yeah.
Obviously, since I'm still single, it's been... and I think for me, I've just been doing a lot of moving around to get to this point in my career. And, again, I lived in Texas for a few years, Louisiana for a few years. I was here in Nebraska for a year, in Baltimore for a year, then I moved back to Texas for a year, and then finally came back to Omaha, right? And so being at all those places and dating, knowing that I wasn't going to be there long term, I felt somewhat guilty starting a relationship with someone knowing that I wasn't going to be there for the long haul, right? And now that I'm here and somewhat settled, like I'm ready to get back out there, and I can say that I'm going to be here for a few more years and be more ready to start in a relationship. I think the most difficult thing about being a professional and at this level of education is just kind of separating the two. I know that for me, I tend to attract a lot of other mental health professionals just because as a Black male in psychology, we are trained to talk about our feelings and just be open and to be vulnerable. We know how to communicate. And so for a lot of other professional Black women, that's kind of what they're looking for. I think the tricky thing becomes drawing that line between professional and personal, right? So I get a lot, don't do that psychology, psychoanalysis stuff with me. I'm just talking, right? And so it's hard sometimes because I do want to have healthy communication, but I also don't want it to come off as I'm always in psychologist mode. When in reality, I'm not in psychologist mode if I'm not being paid. That's why I have to tell them all the time. You don't have to worry about that. I'm off the clock right now. Nobody paid me. Right? So I think that's kind of been the more difficult one, is just being open and not coming across as a psychologist, because not everybody wants to hear all that lingo and all of that talk all the time.
Understood. I can see that. I mean, I think for most of us, especially if you're a clinician, it's hard to turn that off. Because I'll tell you, I'll sit on the first date and be like, borderline, let me get the hell out of here. I'm not going to lie to you. It's my truth. It's my truth, okay? Can I share my truth? This is a safe space. We're in a safe space. It's my truth. If I feel something's going wrong in that first date, it ain't going to be a second date. No, thank you. I'm good. I don't need a patient at home, too. Dr. McLeod, what's happening?
I think it's difficult. First of all, let's put the education aside for a second. Let's put the status, all that aside. I think as a Black woman, it's difficult to date. And I'm just going to be honest with you. In my situation, I just happen to be, what makes it even more difficult to date is I've been in, my last 3 locations just have not been the best. I mean, guys, I'm in South Dakota, okay? That silence, see? Y'all don't even have nothing to say. Right? Because that in itself, it's just not a lot here for me and for what I'm looking for. And culturally, no, there's not a whole lot here either. So just being a Black woman has definitely been difficult to date. I think, when it comes to women, successful women or women who are highly educated, I think that women make more sacrifices for men when it comes to dating and moving and relocating and those different types of things. And so being active duty military as a woman, the likelihood that a man is moving all around the world with me and giving up his livelihood and his career is a lot less likely than it would be for Dr. Jamarri, right? So like I said, I feel like women are more willing to and open to move around and make those sacrifices. But has it been difficult dating just on an intellectual level? Yes, I'm just going to be real. We got to be up in here together, okay? I need to talk to you. I need to be stimulated. We need to have these conversations. I don't care if you're psychology, mechanic, engineer, whatever it is that you are, I need to be able to have conversations with you. And oftentimes I find that that's been very difficult for me. And I'm not trying to talk about difficult things every single day, but I really need to have a connection with you mentally. And I feel like in the last couple of situations or dating situations I've been in, we just really didn't connect mentally. And so intellectually, it just kind of fell off. So ultimately, do I feel like it's been difficult? Yes, I do. I do think that as a woman and as a Black woman, the more we are elevated on the scale, the more difficult it is to find someone that we feel compatible with and that we want to be with and can date. And that's willing to make those sacrifices that we can also continue to elevate together. I do.
Now, I'm going to ask a question, and I'm going to turn this one towards my normals over here, my major doctor and my Dr. Parnell. Now, I'm going to ask this because I just want to be devil's advocate. Now, I've heard that a lot of people say, once Black women get education, the first thing they're going to say is, I don't want no broke man. Man, he got to be making what I make or more, or else he can't do nothing for me. Now, what do y'all think about that? Do y'all think that it makes it that much more difficult for you to find a man?
No, let me.
Or is that even true?
I'm going to start off with that. So first of all, the Black woman, we compromise when it comes to finances. We do a lot. Whether we're educated or not, we compromise. So that statement is just untrue. Now, do we want somebody that's trying to do something for themselves? Absolutely. And that's the key. You can't just be sitting around doing nothing while I'm over here holding it down and then ask me to do wifely duties. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's where we get the confusion, because oftentimes a lot of my friends, at least, and you guys, Dr. McLeod and Dr. Parnell, you guys can speak on this as well, but a lot of times our Black women are ending up with the guys that don't have a whole vibe because there's not a whole lot of options out there. And oftentimes, and I'm not saying that, and I don't know where they're at. For me, I'm a newer single person. I was married. I'm divorced now. Thank you, Jesus. I'm just kidding. No. But so for me, I've taken my time dating. But what we often hear is you're intimidating, or like we don't need you, and things of that nature, which I think causes that difficulty for us to date, because when we get to a certain level, you're looking at us like, oh, now you can run the household when I'm supposed to be the breadwinner, but we're all the while thinking, hey, we just want you to be doing something, have a goal. You know what I mean?
And so I'm gonna just be 100 when it comes to the coins. Now I'm not saying that he has to make more than me, but we need to be financially compatible. And I'm just not even going to front up out here like that's not the case for me. We need to be financially compatible. And I'll say this because I feel like there are a lot of things. I am 38 years old, right? There are a lot of things that I do. There is a certain way I like to live, right? And there are certain parts of my life that I would like to stay the same, even when I'm married. And so financial compatibility is very important, because what we know about relationships is sex and money are the two top things that will kill a relationship.
Right?
Right?
But Dr. Cloud, but let me ask you a question though. But say if you found that person that doesn't make nearly as much as you, right? But who is okay with doing those things, but says, hey, it's going to take me a little bit more time to stack my money, to be able to do. So he's not stopping you, but at the same time, he's going to take a little bit long. He can't just drop what he's doing to go fly out to Bali like you can, right? Would you consider someone like that?
So I think I've just never experienced both. Right? I've never experienced someone who may not have been financially compatible with me and willing to do certain things that someone would be financially compatible able to do. That's the thing. I've never had it, right? And so I find that, it's almost like if you're coming in a relationship and you're coming in a situation and we trying to vibe, don't let what I drive throw you off. Don't let my house throw you off, right? Just let's vibe and see how this works together. I'm not counting your penny, your money, so don't count my money. You know what I'm saying?
Have you, Dr. Crystal, have you been open to even give someone that's not on your level an opportunity? Are you closed off, or you open? How?
I will say this very directly. We need to be financially compatible.
Okay.
Dr. McLeod, I just want to point something out. Now, earlier, you told me, and if I remember, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. Now, Dr. McLeod earlier said, women sacrifice. Oh, we climb up on our cross for our man, and we move for them, and we don't stay in one place. But what you're telling me is, if your man is James Evans, all bets are off. He's going to be in Degrading by himself. That's what you're telling me?
No, so when I talked about Dr. Jamaal, I am talking about we commonly see sacrifice.
Okay. All right. It's a common thing, but it's not you. But it's a general.
It just depends. You know, I have never been married, never been close to being married. So I honestly, guys, I will be 100 with you. I don't know what it means or what it feels like to have to sacrifice what I'm doing for somebody else. Because I've never had to do it.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's a part that may change for me, right? If I met someone and we are, you know, in that place to where we're moving toward permanency, that may be different. But I'm already 38 years old. You know, this is like super independent, you know? And so it's almost like how I'm open to having someone else in my life and making those sacrifices, but I've never had to do it, right? So right now, yes, I am saying that I want someone who is financially compatible to me. Now that doesn't mean that he got to make $500,000 if I make $100,000, right? It just means that we need to be on the same financial path, right? And moving in the same directions, because I do like certain things in my life that I want to continue to have and have access to once I am one with somebody.
I'm gonna have to go ahead and jump in here. It's my turn. Listen, it's my turn. I'm sorry. I sat back and heard. No. First of all, you know, I have to say that the opportunities of a lifetime have to be seized in the lifetime of the opportunity. Shame on the male or female that happens to see, for instance, some bubbling brown sugar walking out, and they are attracted to that person and they absolutely love that person off of just first glance, and don't say, hello, how are you? My name is, and I would like to learn more about you. I think that a lot of people miss their opportunity. This whole conversation about money and all this stuff, you know, beauty fades, money goes away, your hairline definitely will go away. And at the end of the day, you are with the person that you're connected with because of none of those things. In my opinion, all that stuff is trivial. And basically, you have got to find that person that is ride or die for you. And I have a hard time hearing that it's hard for someone like a Dr. McLeod or a Major Dr. Greenidge. You know, I don't understand why these ladies are single. You probably won't be single after this episode. Put your phone on thing too, so that way people give you a call. But all I'm saying is that I just find it laughable. Because, I mean, essentially, you ladies are the cream of the crop. And, I mean, I don't get it. I mean, I'm from Decatur, Georgia, and I think that, you know, help me understand. Another thing, one more thing. So I went to an HBCU, and I was always taught that, like, you know, if you're raising a boy and a girl, you send your girl to an HBCU because she'll come out with her MSW and her MRS or whatever it is that she gets. And then wherever he wants to go. So, I mean, I just think that, you know, I think that there's someone out there. Also, I think that some of you all are kind of picky. And I think that some of you all, I got to say it, because I don't want my brother Fortner getting on me. Some of you kind of picky, and some of you overlook great guys and you all don't give people the chance that they deserve. And I think that sometimes you end up by yourself because you tend to overlook a blessing, but because he ain't pulling up in a BMW, because he may not be financially equally yoked, or because of whatever situation it may be, you tend to look the other way when you have missed your blessing. Some of you in the situation that you're in, because you're the first bus out the train station.
You judged me. I don't even know.
I'm almost to the 50, but it's been hard for me, Jaden, because I had a child coming right out of college. And so, yes, I'm very picky because I didn't want to bring any man before my son that would not be a great role model for him. And a lot of men don't want to accept that women don't want them around their children until they build a strong relationship. I go on plenty dates, but you got to prove yourself to me outside of my child that you're worthy to come into my home to even be blessed to meet my children. And so a lot of men have hard issues with that. I've been told I'm set in my ways, that I'm stubborn. A lot of people recently told me because I received my doctoral degree that I think I'm all that. I have not changed. I'm the same person with the same attitude that's going to protect my boys from any foolishness. Because you can meet anybody and they put their best foot forward, but it doesn't mean that second foot is going to be worth coming into my home to meet my children.
So I just need to say one thing. It's Dr. Jamarri, we got to get you up in here too as a single man. But I got to say one thing to Dr. Jason. So I am not a woman that needs a man to show up in a Benz. Right? I got my own Benz. Okay. So I don't need that. I need you to show up as a man. That's what I need you to show up. I need you to show up open. Right? I need you to show up being able to lead me and teach me something.
Yeah.
Right?
So
that's how I need you to show up in my life. I don't need you to show up in my life competing with me.
Right.
We're not competing.
Yeah, because we are educated women, be able to stimulate my mind and not look at my body to stimulate me. Because like you said, Dr. Jason, money goes, hairline goes, bodies come out, but if we can't have an intellectual conversation, what do we have?
So let me ask y'all this.
I had a question for the guests that's here, because you both have been on the move so much. Have you not found someone in a different city that you're willing to have that long distance love relationship with them?
I've recently started considering that, just because, again, I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. The Black community is so small here, and from everybody who I've talked to here, everybody kind of knows everybody. Everybody has dated everybody. A lady who did my hair for me about a year ago, she told me, I said, like, I'm new here. She said, you're going to be a catch because you're new and won't nobody know you here, right? And sure enough, a few weeks later, here she come texting me, like, trying to holler, right?
Well, I have two friends. I have two friends, one in Dakota and the other one in Florida. I might have to hook you up with. We'll talk about that later.
And what I was just throw out there was Dr. Parnell has not changed. Whoever says she changed since she got the doctorate is a lie. She's not changed at all. Not even
I do think distance, for me, I'm very open to distance. I personally believe that distance is fine. I can do that. I'm capable of that. But here's the deal with distance, okay? Distance is, visitation is a part of the monthly budget, okay?
Right.
So so here we are talking about finances again, Dr. Jason, right? If I am in a distant relationship with you, our seeing each other and spending time is a part of our monthly budget, right? I'm coming one way 1 month, you coming one way 1 month. Or even if we do once a month, we have to make that a part of the budget. I find that in my dating, I've done the apps, I've dated on apps in Germany where they flew from Atlanta to Germany to see me, and that went sour. So I have been all over this world doing dating apps. Here's what I find. I find that guys start off real good, right? It's real cute for like the first 30, 60 days. They're excited. Yes, I'm ready. We can do this. Day 61, no, this distance ain't gonna work for me. Right? That's why it's so important that, yes, when you start with someone at a distance, there has to be an end game. We have to have an end game. What is the end game going to be eventually, and what are we willing to sacrifice as two professionals who are thriving in their careers? Because ultimately that sacrifice is going to come. I don't mind being the person to make that sacrifice if it's appropriate, right? So I'm just saying distance is great. I just haven't found anybody that's willing to put in the work for distance. And that's just been it for me. So that's why I haven't been successful at distance.
Why do you think that 60-day mark is when kind of the flame fades out?
You tell me, Dr. Jamaria, you the man. So the men up in here, I'm gonna need y'all to tell me.
I could guess and I could speculate, but
I don't know. And so that maybe because working at a distance, it is harder. And a lot of the distance works comes here. Right? Because you might not be having sex for once or twice a month when you see each other, but you having a conversation every day. So I don't know why, why it's not able to work. So maybe someone else can tell me and help me understand that.
Like you said earlier, the two biggest things in relationships are the finances and the sexual aspect of it. And I'm thinking about just any relationship, even being there in the same physical city. That 60-day mark is about the end of that honeymoon period. It's about the end of that courting period, and when kind of the sexual aspect of it starts to become a little bit more important. And if you guys are at a distance and you can't really work through that, I imagine that probably contributes some to it too.
Well, let me ask this.
He said that's so professional.
Yes, I mean, I know nobody wants y'all.
That's what I was talking about separating the two. I'm always getting called out. Can't separate them.
I'm gonna ask this question, and I know all the women are gonna be angry with me, but it's okay. I'm gonna ask it anyway. So traditionally, the thought has been that the man is supposed to be the provider for the household, but times have changed. And you have a lot of women in higher positions, and so they can take care of the household. So what happens when you have a woman who's a Black professional, and she's looking for that Black male professional that's on her level, but maybe those same Black male professionals are like, she kind of overpricing herself. She pricing herself like a 2020 Ferrari when she's like a 2010 Ferrari, but she's been kept in real good shape. She got low miles and in good shape. So why am I going to put this 2020 money and energy into a 2010 when I know that I'm few and far between? So I can go out and get a 2021 if I really wanted to with much less effort. Then I'm going to put it on this 2010. So with that being said, do we think that could be an issue in the sense of women maybe overpricing themselves and then not seeing the value in pursuing that?
So I may be the 2010 because I'm 38, and the 2021 may be 25. And you know what? If you want to be with a 25-year-old, then I'm going to have to say, go ahead and do what you need to do, right?
What about us that's 50? What am I?
Hold on.
Help me, sister. Help me now. Am I 2071?
Right. So I'm assuming that's what you mean. I do feel like my desires for men have definitely changed, and what I'm looking for in a man has definitely changed from when I was 25 to now at 38. I definitely feel like that. So I'm okay with being the 2020 Ferrari, okay? Because them things really don't go, like you said, well maintained, okay? I'm consistent. Okay, I'm consistent. So I'm okay with that. But I think that if you feel like you need to go out and get something that's easier, then you ain't meant for me anyway.
Exactly.
All right.
Because if you're looking for easy instead of a partnership or work, then I'm not the one for you anyway, because this thing 50-50.
Exactly.
I think it's 100. I'm just,
Well, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
And nothing worth having comes easy. And if you are in a relationship and you find something, and now they say he who findeth, and if you happen to find that lady, then you have to put in the work and you have to be consistent from day one all the way until things end. And I mean, I want to say this, I don't think that younger, I heard this thing about 25, 38, and 50. And the way that I think about it is that, look, 50, 38, listen, those are the cars that I want when, I'm saying that, because I can trust that, because, that's going to be a smooth ride. That's well maintained. And some guys, we tend to, I think it was Louis Farrakhan said, you got to get a woman that's half your age plus 7. And I think that people just cling to that early on. Well, what if I were single? Yeah, I'm not. But if I were single right now, I'll throw all of that out and see who is it that I have the best connection with. And with regard to finances, yes, we have to be equally yoked. With regard to sex, yes, we have to be attracted to each other. But the truth of the matter is that I'll say again, all that stuff tends to fade away.
Well, I think this is a question that the guys should definitely talk more about, because the guys are the ones that say it. I recently spoke with a friend of mine who talked about that idea, Dr. Jamaal, and he not only discussed the age, he also discussed, that educated woman, no matter what race they are, who believe that they're a 10, when in all actuality they're a 5 or a 6, but they're looking for a 10 in a guy, right? But they're adding up all the things that they have as far as education, finances, and things of that nature, and padding that to make them a 10, right? Not realizing that men actually can care less about your education level. So I would like to know from the men, what say you?
Well, I mean, the education thing to me is a huge piece because I'll tell you, I'm one of those lifelong learners. I like to be able to talk to you about what's happening in the news. And if all you can tell me about is what's going on Love and Hip Hop or some other Mona Scott Young production, then I don't think we're going to make it. We're not going to make it very far because it's going to have to be a killing. Because I'm like, you don't watch no CNN, no nothing. No Roy Martin in your life, just somebody, please tell me something informative. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I do think sometimes men will overlook what's important for what is trendy. If big behinds are in, they want a woman with a big behind. If big boobs are in, they want big boobs. If, whatever is popular is what sometimes people go for instead of going for what's steady, what's somebody who's going to actually compliment them. But I'm going to let Dr. Jamarri pick up on that one because Dr. Lester, we already know he is taken and accounted for.
I guess I'm still trying to understand. The question is the topic about like dating someone who maybe values themselves a little bit more than I think that they should be valued.
Essentially.
Okay. I guess for me, if I am dating that person, I have found some value in that is attractive to me, and I think that when it comes to relationships, both parties are, I guess, somewhat responsible for building that other person's confidence up in themselves. So I know I have certain areas of my life and my personality that I'm very confident in, and I have other areas that I'm not very confident in. And if I'm dating somebody, I would hope for them to accept the parts that I am confident in and help me to build up in those other areas, because that's what I'm going to be doing too for her, right? And so, I guess it's this balancing act that goes on. So if you see yourself at 10 on all these other areas, but you have this other area where you see yourself at a 5 or a 6, then I'm going to work with you to try to build that 5 or 6 up so that you feel a little bit better about yourself. And for me, I don't feel like it gets into a tricky conversation having to tell somebody you're really not worth that much as much as you think you are, right? Like it just feels like the odd or awkward conversation to have with somebody.
Wouldn't it be better that they know the truth so that you don't send them out into the world unprepared and have somebody else say it to them in an unloving way?
Sure. I mean, maybe we could explore why it is that they feel that way. Maybe there's an aspect of it that I'm not really seeing, right? Maybe I just see this outward projection of it, and there's something else that's underlying it that makes them feel that way. So maybe having a conversation about how did you get to the point about feeling so confident in this area? Maybe that kind of conversation, they're coming to them and just tell them straight up, you're actually not as cute as you say you are.
That'd be the quickest way to a fight.
Well, okay, so I want to, you guys said something and I want to pop back on. I feel like men who are established or who are maybe not even as established as they desire to be are really more negotiable in what a woman brings to the table, because they are traditionally the providers, are supposed to be the providers, or seen as the providers, and the person that kind of takes care of things, right? So, the likelihood that a male will say, well, you don't need to be a doctor or you don't need to have education to be with me, is because they actually genuinely want to be with that person, not that person is bringing a certain salary to the table, right? As a Black woman and I'm going to say a Black woman who has been on her own most of her life and who's used to providing for herself, it's a lot different because that's not my mentality as a woman, right? To say, hey, just come on to the table, bro, I got it. You're not doing that, right? But a male's role, whether they are in that role or not, is traditionally the role of a provider. So I think they are definitely willing to sacrifice in areas of status and education a lot more than a woman would. And that's just my perspective on that.
So do you think that that's an intimidating factor? Like the fact of, well, hey, she has her own, so I don't need to mess with her?
Yes.
Well, and this is what we want you guys to, Michelle, yes.
Yes,
Well,
I've heard it. I've literally heard it before.
I've heard it too.
One of the reasons why I'm not married right now, because it was a whole competition. But yet when we first met, it was all about what we both wanted to achieve, those goals. And because I kept moving, right? And he stopped for whatever reason, there was an issue. You know what I mean? And then it was like, oh, you're an officer now. Oh, you have this degree that I don't have. Oh, you know what I mean? Then now this projection is on me because you didn't achieve your things. And I think that's where the intimidation factor comes into place. It's that piece where you wanted to achieve something, maybe you didn't get there. And now the woman that you're with can't be above you. And I feel like men should just be more confident in what they're doing and who they are, and regardless of what education level or not, or career path that we have. I think that's a big issue, just based on my personal experience.
Well, I want to hear from you guys. Is it a intimidation thing, or what is it? I mean, or how do you feel when you're I don't know. Help us understand.
I mean, I was always taught that you always go after the best thing that you see. And the best thing that you see could be a lady with 2 doctoral degrees. It could be a lady that, happens to drive since we're talking about a nice vehicle. It may be nicer than yours. But I mean, you always go after the best thing that you can find, because I mean, you don't want to dig in the trash can for a woman. And I mean, the truth matter is that I believe that men are a little bit more flexible when it comes to, the superlatives of their partner. I mean, and I also think that there are some jealous guys that, say, well, she's doing it way bigger than I am. And oh my goodness, I just find myself totally lacking confidence and I just can't keep up. So it's best that I just go and call this girl that just did this walk tic-tac because I mean, essentially it'll be easy for me to TikTok video. And, it'll be easier for me just to, get my rocks off instead of pursuing something. So some of us, we want a quick meal when essentially what we really need is a home cooked meal.
Well, and so let's talk about the ladies and how we can do, right? Now, how much of a role do the ladies play in that? Because, as women, how we are expected to balance this acceleration in our personal lives and our careers and still manage to be someone's wife, someone's life partner, and someone's mother. And so I do, there are some traditional things about me now. I do feel like as women, I don't know how to say this, we have to do a better job, or we can do a better job, not all of us, some of us, of not degrading the male who may not be where we want him to be when we're with him. Right? We do, because that is a thing. It happens in arguments. It happens in, it happens like, well, that's what I gotta pay again, or you ain't got no money, whatever it may be, you know what I mean? I think we as women have to work on not degrading the men that we sleep next to every night when we're upset or disappointed in something and we are the head of the household financially. I'm just saying in the financial or superlatives, like Dr. Jason stated, space as well. So I think that's an area that we can do better in. And I'm just going to say it as a whole. We can, stereotypically, the world shows us who's supposed to do that a little bit better, right, than we do as Black women. Black women are the most educated in the United States, statistically. We are, right? So it's a lot of us and not a lot of you guys. But that still does not mean that I can degrade you or condescend you because I'm making 200 and you making 100 or you making 80. And I think that's an area that we have to get better in too, as well. That's just.
I agree with that.
We don't want anybody to, and I'm speaking for myself. Like I said, I have children. One I just cut the biblical cord from because he's 25 now. But then I have a 17-year-old. And I can't I'm working hard to ensure that they have a great life. I can't have anybody in my space that's holding my coattail down. So you have to bring something to the table. It doesn't have to be the whole pie, but at least bring half of the pie to the table. Because like you said earlier, Dr. Crystal, we don't want anyone that's not financially sound. And Dr. Michelle said, you can have a plan in place. Don't come to the table with no plan and think that because Dr. Regina working 3 to 4 jobs, that you're just going to be okay and live off of her. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Well, now I'm just gonna speak for myself, and Dr. Jamari can take it from here. But all I'm gonna say is, if I meet somebody, be they male or female, and they say, "Look, I got it. All you got to do is just be here and take care of the house." When I tell you, I will be there in my nice Stepford husband apron, cooking, cleaning. Don't let the degrees fool you. I will happily sit at home and take care of the house if you want to go to work. I'm all right with that. I'm just letting you know. I don't care what you're driving. You could be driving a El Camino, a throwback El Camino, but if you got the money to just take care of me and let me sit there, I will happily do it for you. I'm just saying. That's just me, though.
I'm going to have Leroy sitting at my house doing nothing. Leroy got to do something.
Just thinking about all of that, in the back of my mind, I kind of just thought back to just previous relationships and how much or how far a conversation about values took that relationship. I think we can all agree that financial and sexual are probably going to be pretty important in any relationship. But some of those other things, like who's going to take care of the organization, planning, making sure bills are getting paid, making sure kids are getting taken to school on time, just sitting down and having a conversation about that on the front end, I think takes a relationship a long way. And those are awkward conversations for people to have, especially early on in a relationship. I'm just thinking back to one of my more recent ones. Like we sat down and she told me that, I don't like when guys pay for things for me because I'm not at a point in my life where I want to be. And when you pay for those things, it makes me feel inadequate. And so I said, okay, cool. Like, I know you're not at the place where you want to be. You're probably not making the money that you want to be, but I saw her goals. I saw where she wanted to be. And so I kind of stepped back and said, is this meal, like, are we going to split it, or do you want me to cover it? Or are you cool covering? Like, how can we manage this? And, I think that that took the relationship a long way. Other things that kind of got in the way. But I think just sitting down and having a conversation about, what the expectations are and what is it that you're looking for in a relationship, and either coming to an agreement or coming to some sort of compromise, I think will take a relationship a long way.
Awesome. All right, y'all. It's been, we got to get our final thoughts from everybody so we can wrap up. So, single life. We'll start with Dr. McLeod. We're going to start with her because I know she got something. I smell our brain burning all the way from here. So you go with it.
What? Single life.
Your thoughts on single life. What can we do?
So my thoughts on single life. So I don't necessarily have any negative thoughts on the single life. I am at the point in my life to where I am ready to be with someone on a more long-term basis, whether that be marriage or a lifetime partner. I don't have to be married, right? I'm not even that person that feels like I have to change my last name. If we are willing to be in a relationship and commit to being with each other, then that's what we're doing. Okay. So I think at this stage in my life, it's almost like when you have checked all the boxes that you needed to do personally for yourself. Now you're looking like, oh, I want somebody right here next to me to share this with me. I want somebody right here next to me to go to Bali with me, right? I don't want to always take Michelle with me. I want us to have a double date one time to go to Bali, right? So it's like I'm at the point in my life to where I think I have done very well for myself, but now I'm looking to the left and wanting someone to share it with me. And that's where I'm at.
So fellas and folks, Dr. McLeod is ready to shack up. Just let y'all know. Hey, man. She said she don't even need the ring. She'll shack up with you. She just want to make sure it's long term. Hold it down. All right. We want to go to Dr. Aikins. You want to give us your last thoughts on single life?
Sure. I think, and again, this is me speaking completely from my perspective, but single life is what you make of it. You can sit and just think, woe is me, why am I single? Why can't I find anybody? or you can say, what can I get out of this? How can I use this time in my singleness to better myself or work toward those goals that I have established for myself, and continue to work toward self-improvement so that when somebody does come into your life, that you're ready to receive that person.
I can go with it. Do our folks have anything to add?
I'll go ahead and add. I think the single life is great, but again, you guys know I'm a newer single person, but I think that being single is okay. It's okay to have standards. It's okay to stick to those standards, but compromise is as important. You know what I mean? You can't be in a relationship and not compromise. But you have some deal breakers. You know what I mean? That is perfectly all right to have your deal breakers. Just know that sometimes you have to make modifications if you want to be in a successful relationship. And being single is okay. So enjoy it. I do.
All right, Dr. Parnell, Dr. Lester, y'all got anything for him?
Yeah, I would say the truth of the matter is that one has to spend time getting to know themselves. And, there's nothing wrong with you spending extra time in the mirror or extra time with yourself, taking yourself out on a date on a Friday, and understanding and learning what it is that you like. Because at the end of the day, if you settle, which you shouldn't, never settle, go for what it is that you want. But if you do settle, you will find yourself miserable. You'll find yourself broke, busted, and disgusted. So it's better just to, move forward and getting to know yourself and not settling. And the last thing I want to say is, Dr. McLeod, meet Dr. Aikens. And Dr. Aikens, meet Dr. McLeod. All right, I yield my time.
So you don't even know what I'm already thinking about. So, I got my game.
Dr. Parnell, what you got from?
I don't know if I should speak. You bringing us with that experience. You see, you got that experience. I would just, encourage everyone, singleness is, and I'm going to say what Dr. Jason said, it's about first understanding who you are, being true to yourself, being open, honest, and willing to compromise, like Dr. Michelle said, compromise if you want to be in a relationship. Not everyone is able to unpack pack their own luggage. When you're riding an airplane and say, secure your mask first before you save someone else. I would use that same scenario in a relationship. Know who you are first before you step into another relationship, because you don't want to be miserable. You want to be happy and whole as a unit and not divided when you meet the person that you want to meet. And I was, good luck to whoever you love, but love yourself first.
I agree with everything they all said. I'm just going to say thank you to this panel. Thank you to these two amazing guests who joined us today. I appreciate y'all. And I just know in my heart that we're going to have to do a part 2 to this, because I feel it coming. We're
going to need a part 2 because I just got a whole lot more in my
really, I just feel like there's more to this conversation that we're going to have to unpack.
Can I come to the wedding?
So again, Dr. Aikens, Dr. McLeod, thank y'all so much for joining us here in our clubhouse. Y'all, I hope y'all had a good time. Keep an eye out for next week. We're talking about Black love. And by the time we get these two folks back here for part 2 of this, ain't no telling what's going to be to happen. So hang in there with us. Keep watching, and we're going to see y'all next week.
Bye, guys.